Elena's hand trembled as she stared at the divorce papers on Damien Blackwood's mahogany desk. Not marriage papers. Divorce papers. Her signature was still wet on the contract she'd signed 30 minutes ago, agreeing to marry a man who was now demanding she sign away her rights before the wedding even happened. Insurance, Damien said coldly, not looking up from his laptop. 6 months. You play the devoted wife, attend the galas, smile for the cameras. When the board confirms my position as CEO, we dissolve this quietly. You get your $2 million. I keep my company. Simple. Simple. Elena's throat tightened as she looked at the man she'd once thought she loved. 3 years ago, she'd been a nobody, a junior architect at his firm who'd caught his eye at the company gala. One night of passion that had felt like magic. One morning of brutal rejection that had shattered her. Last night was a mistake, he'd said, buttoning his shirt without meeting her eyes. I don't do relationships. Leave before my housekeeper arrives. She'd left. And 2 months later, she'd discovered she was pregnant with his child. Now here she was, selling herself to the same man who'd thrown her away, because her daughter was dying and she was out of options. Where do I sign? Elena whispered. Damien finally looked at her, his dark eyes unreadable. For a moment, something flickered across his face. Recognition? No. Impossible. He didn't remember her. She'd been one of dozens of women who'd warmed his bed over the years. She'd changed too. She'd made sure of it. The glasses were gone. Her hair was different. She carried herself with a polish born from 3 years of fighting alone. Here. And here. His finger tapped the pages. My lawyer will handle everything. Elena signed. Each stroke of the pen felt like a betrayal of the girl she'd been, the one who'd believed in fairy tales and second chances. The wedding is tomorrow, Damien continued, closing his laptop with a sharp click. Noon. City Hall. Where's something appropriate? My PR team will provide talking points. Tomorrow. Elena's voice cracked. I need more time to what? Prepare. Damien stood, towering over her. This isn't a real wedding, Miss Martinez. It's a business transaction. Unless you're having second thoughts about the money. The money. $2 million. Enough for Lily's surgery, her treatment, her future. Elena thought of her daughter's pale face in the hospital bed that morning, the way she'd smiled despite the tubes and monitors. Mommy, will I get better soon? Lily had asked, clutching her worn stuffed bear. Yes, baby. I promise. Mommy's going to fix everything. No second thoughts, Elena said firmly, meeting Damien's gaze. I'll be there. She gathered her purse and turned to leave, but his voice stopped her at the door. Have we met before? Elena's heart stopped. She didn't turn around. No, I don't think so. You seem familiar. I have one of those faces. She forced herself to walk calmly out of his office, down the elevator, out of the building. Only when she was 3 blocks away did she let herself collapse against a brick wall, gasping for air. Her phone buzzed. Maria, her best friend. How did it go? I sold my soul, Elena whispered. The wedding's tomorrow. Elle, you don't have to do this. We can find another way. There is no other way. Elena's voice broke. The experimental treatment costs $500,000 up front. The surgery is another $1 million. I've exhausted every option, every loan, every charity. This is it, Maria. This is the only way I save my daughter. Does he know about Lily? Elena closed her eyes. No. And he never will. I'll keep her with you during the 6 months. He'll never find out. You can't hide a child for 6 months. Watch me. The next day, Elena stood in front of a mirror in a borrowed cream dress, her hands ice cold. The ceremony was in 20 minutes. She'd spent the morning with Lily at the hospital, memorizing every detail of her face. You look pretty, Mommy, Lily had said, touching the fabric of her dress. Like a princess. I'll be back soon, sweetheart. Auntie Maria will stay with you. Okay. Will you bring me a story? All the stories you want, baby. Now, standing alone in the courthouse bathroom, Elena fought the urge to run. She could still back out. She could find another way. She could. Her phone rang. The hospital. Her hands shook as she answered. Miss Martinez, I'm calling about Lily's test results from this morning. Her heart function has declined another 8%. We need to move the surgery timeline up. I'm recommending we schedule within the next 2 weeks, 3 at most. The walls tilted. 2 weeks. She thought she had months. I'll have the money, Elena heard herself say. Whatever it takes. I'll have it. She ended the call and stared at her reflection. No more choices. No more options. The ceremony was everything she'd expected. Cold. Clinical. Damien in a black suit that probably cost more than her entire year's rent, looking at his watch twice during the vows. The officiant droned through the legal requirements. There were no flowers, no music, no guests except for Damien's assistant and a photographer to document the marriage for the board. "I do," Damien said flatly. "I do," Elena echoed, the words ash in her mouth. "You may kiss the bride." Damien leaned in, pressed his lips to hers for exactly 1 second, then pulled back. No warmth. No feeling. Just another box checked on his corporate to-do list. They signed the marriage certificate. The photographer snapped photos. Damien's assistant handed Elena a folder. "Your schedule for the next month. Memorize it. There's a charity gala next week, a board dinner the week after. Mr. Blackwood expects you to." Elena's phone exploded with a FaceTime call. She glanced at the screen, and her blood turned to ice. Lily's face, Maria's panicked expression behind her. "Mommy. Mommy, I miss you." Elena's thumb slammed down on the decline button, but not before Damien's eyes locked onto the screen. Not before he saw the little girl with his dark eyes, his stubborn jaw, his unmistakable features staring back at him. The phone slipped from Elena's hand. "Who?" Damien's voice was deadly quiet. "Was that?" "Nobody." "Wrong number." Elena bent to retrieve her phone, but Damien's hand shot out, gripping her wrist. "Don't lie to me. That child called you mommy." His face had gone white. "How old is she?" Elena wrenched her arm free. "Let go of me." "How old, Elena?" The use of her first name, the raw intensity in his voice, made her stumble back. Around them, his assistant had gone silent, the photographer frozen mid-shot. "3," Elena whispered. "She's 3 years old." She watched the calculation happen in his eyes. 3 years. The same amount of time since that night. Since he'd thrown her out of his bed and his life. "No." Damien shook his head. "No, you're lying. I wish I was. If you had my child, you would have told me. You would have. Told you." Elena's voice rose, 3 years of buried pain erupting. "Told the man who called me a mistake? Who couldn't get me out of his penthouse fast enough? Who made it crystal clear that I was nothing to him? Everyone out." Damien's command was sharp. His assistant and the photographer fled. When they were alone, he turned to her, his composure cracking. "I have a daughter." "No. I have a daughter. You have a contract wife who'll disappear in 6 months. You kept her from me for 3 years. You threw me away." Elena's hands balled into fists. "I was 23, pregnant and terrified. I came to your office to tell you. And you know what your secretary said? That Damien Blackwood doesn't accept paternity claims, and I should contact your legal department if I wanted a payout. So I left. I raised her alone. I was enough." Damien's face was a storm of emotions she'd never seen from him. Shock. Anger. Something that looked almost like grief. "What's her name?" "That's none of your business." "What is her name, Elena?" "Lily," she said finally. "Her name is Lily." "Lily." He repeated it like a prayer. "Where is she?" "Safe. Away from you." "I want to see her." "Absolutely not. She's my daughter. She's the reason I'm here." Elena shouted. "She's sick, Damien. Her heart is failing. She needs surgery that costs more money than I'll ever have, and this contract with you is the only way I can save her life. So no, you don't get to see her. You don't get to play daddy for 6 months and then disappear when the contract ends. I won't let you break her heart the way you broke mine." The silence that followed was suffocating. "Her heart," Damien said slowly. "What's wrong with her heart?" "Congenital defect. She needs a valve replacement and repair. The surgery is complicated, expensive, and has to happen in the next 2 weeks or she'll..." Elena's voice broke. "Or we'll run out of time." Damien pulled out his phone, dialed. "Mark, I need you to find the best pediatric cardiac surgeon in the country. I don't care where they are. Offer them whatever it takes to consult on a case. 3-year-old female, congenital heart defect requiring valve replacement. I want them reviewing her file by tonight." "What are you doing?" Elena stared at him. "What I should have done 3 years ago." He ended the call. "Where is she being treated?" "I'm not telling you that." "Elena, I can have my team find out in an hour. Or you can tell me, and I can help her now." She wanted to refuse. Wanted to protect Lily from this man who'd already hurt them both. But the clock was ticking and her daughter's life hung in the balance. Children's Memorial. 4th floor, cardiac unit. Damien was already moving toward the door. Elena grabbed his arm. You can't just show up. Watch me. At the hospital, Elena's heart hammered as they rode the elevator up. She'd texted Maria a warning, but nothing could prepare her for this moment. Damien was about to meet the daughter he'd never known existed, and Elena had no idea what would happen next. Lily's room was at the end of the hall. Through the window, Elena could see her propped up in bed, Maria reading her a story. Her daughter looked so small, surrounded by machines and monitors. "That's her," Elena whispered. Damien pressed his hand against the glass, his breath fogging it. Elena watched his face, saw the exact moment the wall around his heart developed its first crack. "She looks like my mother," he said hoarsely. The same eyes. Elena had forgotten that. Had forgotten the photo of Damien's mother she'd seen once, years ago. The resemblance was there in Lily's smile, in the way she tilted her head. "You can't go in yet," Elena said. "She doesn't know about you. I won't have you confusing her when she's already scared and sick." "What did you tell her about me?" "The truth. That her daddy was very busy and very far away." Damien flinched. "Did she ask about me?" "Every day for the first year. Then she stopped asking." He turned to her, and Elena saw something she'd never seen in Damien Blackwood's eyes before. Tears. "I'm sorry," he said. "For that morning. For what I said. For not being there. I'm sorry, Elena." She didn't know what to say. Sorry didn't fix 3 years. Sorry didn't heal the scars. But before she could respond, the door opened, and Maria stepped out. "She's asking for you," Maria said to Elena. Then her eyes widened as she recognized Damien. "Oh my God. It's okay," Elena said. "I'll explain later. Just give us a minute." Maria nodded and disappeared down the hall. Elena took a breath and opened the door. Lily looked up from her coloring book, her face lighting up. "Mommy, you're back. Did you bring a story?" "Better." Elena sat on the edge of the bed, her heart in her throat. "Baby, I brought someone to meet you." Damien stepped into the room, and Elena saw him visibly steel himself, trying to hold together the emotions threatening to break free. Lily studied him with curious eyes. "Who's that?" "This is Damien," Elena said carefully. He's your daddy, sweetheart." Lily's eyes went round. "My daddy? My real daddy?" "Yes." Damien's voice cracked. He cleared his throat and tried again. "Yes, I'm your daddy. But Mommy said you were very busy." Lily clutched her stuffed bear tighter. "Are you still busy?" Damien crossed the room and knelt beside her bed, bringing himself to her eye level. "Not anymore. I'm sorry I was away for so long, Lily. But I'm here now, and I'm not going anywhere." Lily reached out and touched his face, her small hand gentle. "You have my eyes." "You have my eyes," Damien corrected softly. "And my mother's smile." "I have a grandma." "You did. She would have loved you very much." Lily held up her bear. "This is Mr. Snuggles. He's very brave." "Are you brave?" "I'm trying to be." Elena watched, her throat tight, as Lily began chattering about her coloring book, her favorite foods, the cartoon she watched every morning. Damien listened to every word like it was sacred text, his hand trembling as Lily placed it on her bear. "Mr. Snuggles likes you," Lily announced. "That means you're good people." "I'm honored," Damien said seriously. A nurse came in to check Lily's vitals, and Elena pulled Damien aside. "Don't make promises you can't keep," she said quietly. "When this contract ends." "The contract doesn't matter anymore. It's the only thing that matters. It's why I'm here." Damien caught her hand. "Elena, look at me. I just met my daughter. Do you really think I'm going to walk away in 6 months? You walked away from me. I was a coward. I was terrified of feeling anything real, so I pushed away the best thing that ever happened to me. But I'm not that man anymore. Or at least, I don't want to be." The nurse finished and left. Lily called out, "Daddy, can you read me a story?" "Daddy." The words seemed to undo something in Damien. He returned to Lily's bedside and picked up the book Maria had left behind. His voice was rough as he began to read, stumbling over the simple words, having to stop and compose himself multiple times. Elena sank into the chair by the window and watched her daughter glow with happiness, watched Damien transform from the cold CEO into someone softer, someone human. By the time he finished the story, Lily had fallen asleep against his shoulder. "I should go," Damien whispered, but he didn't move. "You have to put her down first," Elena said. Carefully, so carefully, Damien laid Lily back against her pillows. He stood there for a long moment, just watching her breathe. "She's perfect," he said. "How did I miss this? How did I throw away the chance to know her? Because you were afraid, Elena said. You told me once, that night, that your father abandoned you and your mother, that you'd never let anyone close enough to hurt you that way. And instead, I became him. I abandoned my own child. You didn't know, because I didn't give you the chance to tell me. Damien turned to her. I need to fix this, Elena. All of it. The surgery, it's already paid for. I made the calls while you were talking to the nurse. The best surgeon in the country will be here tomorrow to review her case. You can't just throw money at this. It's not about money. It's about our daughter's life. He stepped closer. And after she's better, after she's healthy, I want to be part of her life. Really part of it. Not as some contract obligation, but as her father. For how long? 6 months? A year? Until you get bored or scared again. Forever, Elena. I want forever. The word hung between them. Too big, too impossible. I don't believe you, Elena whispered. Then let me prove it. Over the next week, Damien proved it. He showed up every morning at the hospital with breakfast for Elena and new books for Lily. He sat through the consultations with the surgeon, asking questions, taking notes, holding Lily's hand when she was scared. He learned her favorite color, her favorite song, the way she liked her toast cut into triangles. He was there the morning of her surgery, pacing the waiting room like a caged animal while Elena sat frozen with fear. She's strong, Damien said, crouching in front of her. She's going to be fine. You can't know that. She's ours. She's a fighter. 6 hours later, the surgeon emerged with a smile. The surgery was a success. She did beautifully. Elena collapsed into Damien's arms, sobbing with relief. He held her, his own tears soaking into her hair. She's okay, he kept repeating. Our girl is okay. Their girl. Somewhere in the chaos and fear, they'd become a unit. 2 weeks after the surgery, Lily was strong enough to leave the hospital. Elena had moved into Damien's penthouse per the contract, but she'd kept her emotional distance. Until the night she found him on the balcony, staring at his phone. What are you looking at? She asked. He showed her. Photos of Lily. Hundreds of them, taken over the past weeks. I missed her first 3 years, he said. Her first steps, her first words, her first everything. I can never get that back, Elena. Those moments are gone forever because I was too afraid to let myself feel. Elena leaned against the railing beside him. Why did you push me away that morning? The real reason. Damien was quiet for a long time. Because you terrified me. That night, when we talked, when we laughed, I felt something I'd never felt before. Something real. And all I could think was that my father felt something real once too. And then he ran. He chose his freedom over his family, and it destroyed my mother. I watched her wait for him, hope for him, break for him. I swore I'd never put anyone through that. I swore I'd never let anyone close enough to have that power over me. So you hurt me first. Yes. And it was the biggest mistake of my life. He turned to her. Elena, I remember you. From that night. I remembered your laugh, the way you talked about architecture like it was poetry. I remembered how you made me feel like maybe I could be someone different, someone better. But I buried it because I was a coward. And now I'm still a coward. But I'm a coward who's in love with you. Elena's breath caught. Damien, you don't have to say it back. I know I don't deserve it. But I needed you to know. This contract, this marriage, it started as business. But somewhere between meeting our daughter and watching you fight for her, between learning who you really are and realizing what I threw away, it became real for me. You became real for me. Before Elena could respond, his phone rang. His assistant, frantic. Sir, Marcus leaked everything to the press. The contract marriage, the secret child, all of it. The board is calling an emergency meeting. Damien's jaw tightened. I'll be there in 20 minutes. He ended the call and looked at Elena. My cousin wants my position. This scandal gives him ammunition. The board will demand I step down. What are you going to do? Tell them the truth. He cupped her face. And fight for what matters. The press conference was chaos. Cameras flashing, reporters shouting questions. Elena watched from the wings as Damien stood at the podium, unflinching. Yes, I entered into a contract marriage, he said. Yes, I have a 3-year-old daughter I didn't know existed. And yes, the woman I married is the mother of that child. But here's what the headlines won't tell you. 3 years ago, I was a coward who pushed away the best thing in my life because I was afraid. This contract gave me a second chance I didn't deserve. And somewhere in these past weeks, Pretending to be a husband and learning to be a father, I became the man I should have been all along. Elena is not my contract wife. She's the woman I love. Lily is not my scandal. She's my daughter, and I'll fight for her future with everything I have. So if the board wants my resignation, they can have it. But they won't have my family. The room erupted. Elena's hands shook as Damien stepped down from the podium and walked straight to her. I meant every word, he said. You just gave up your company. I chose something more important. That evening, the board voted. Damien kept his position, 8-3. Marcus resigned in disgrace. And Elena stood in Damien's penthouse, watching Lily sleep peacefully in her new room, her heart finally whole and healthy. She asked me today if you were staying forever, Elena said as Damien joined her in the doorway. What did you tell her? I told her I didn't know. That grown-up things are complicated. Damien pulled the contract from his pocket, the same one they'd both signed. He held it up and tore it in half. Not anymore, he said. I don't want 6 months. I don't want a business arrangement. I want a real marriage. Real vows. A real future. I want to be the husband you deserve and the father Lily needs. If you'll have me. Elena looked at this man who'd broken her heart and somehow pieced it back together. Ask me again in 6 months. Prove to me that this is real. Damien smiled. I'll prove it every day for the rest of our lives. 1 year later, they stood together in a small chapel, Lily between them in a flower girl dress, renewing vows that had started as lies but had become truth. This time, when Damien said, I do, his voice was strong and sure. This time, when he kissed his bride, it was with a love that had been tested by fire and found unbreakable. As they walked down the aisle together, a real family at last, Elena thought about the scared girl who'd signed a contract to save her daughter. She'd been looking for money. She'd found something infinitely more valuable. She'd found home. If you love this story of second chances and unexpected love, hit that subscribe button for more emotional romance stories. Drop a comment telling us what you thought of Damien and Elena's journey, and don't forget to like this video. Your support helps us bring you more heartwarming tales every week. Thank you for watching, and remember, sometimes the best love stories start with the worst beginnings.